This is your 3-minute call, 3 minutes before we get started with business session number 3. Again, if you have a questionnaire that you'd like me to collect, I'll gladly come get it from you. And if you'd like to review any of those silent option items, take a look. We will close them at the end of this session. This is your 15-second warning. 15 seconds, we're going to begin. Friends, if you'll take your seats, please. If you'll take your seats, please. Beloved, we continue to run with patience the race that is set before us, and as this pilgrimage continues, I think it's time to sing, if I have this right. So please, would you rise in body or spirit as we sing our theme for the weekend.
Hello. I know some of you need notes, and we apologize that the notes were not in there, but should be getting close. Sing loud so I don't have to.
Joyful noise. Don't have to be in
Well, there's nothing else, right? You have some noise? Sister, let me be your servant. Brother, let me walk with you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant. We are pilgrims on a journey, travelers on the road. We are here to help each other walk the mile and bear. I will weep when you are weeping. When you laugh, I'll laugh with you. I will share your joy and sorrow till we see this journey. And we sing to God in heaven, we shall find such harmony. Born of all we've known together, of great love and agony. Brother, let me be your servant. Sister, let me walk with you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant.
Please be seated. Our business continues this afternoon with the announcement of our IDF grant recipients. We welcome forward Janie Humphrey for that presentation.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here. And I am the current chair of the Grants Committee for the Idaho Episcopal Foundation. And of course, it's my pleasure to be here to be able to announce the grants through the 2025 grant cycle. First, I would like to recognize the committee that worked so hard on this. Some of them may be in the room. First, I would like to recognize Rachel Adams from St. Stephen's, Boise, Amy Bergman from St. Michael's, Boise, the Reverend Marilyn Butler from Holy Trinity Buell, Jennifer Himmerly from Emmanuel Haley, John Hill from St. Luke's Weiser, the Reverend Nancy Kuntz, Ascension Twin Falls, who is also the current president, Deborah Hale from St. Michael's, Boise, Joe Spielman from St. David's Caldwell, and Kathy Tilford from Redeemer Salmon. All of these people come together every year and work very hard once we get the application. The amount available this year was $45,068. The money paid in grants is it only comes from investment assessments of the Idaho Episcopal Foundation. So the IEF typically awards about 5% of the investment assets each year in the form of the grants throughout the diocese. No parish or other entity money is used for these grant awards. This year, there were 15 applications in the amount of over $82,000. 11 of the applications met all the criteria, which is they must meet by the 1st of September. One application withdrew, so we were down to 10. So this year, the awards that have been approved by the board of directors. First is the Marie Blanchard Friendship Clinic, sponsored by All Saints Boise. They applied for electrotherapy and ultrasound unit so that they could serve their patient population with this physical therapy modality that they didn't have available. They applied for $1,195, and they were awarded the full amount. Next is the Rising Stars Therapeutic Writing Center, which was sponsored by Ascension Twin Falls. And they asked for automatic door openers for the exits to their arena. And they are a group of people that they serve a population in Twin Falls of special needs, children and adults, empowering them to reach beyond the range of limitation. So they asked for $8,812, and they were awarded $6,000, which was approved. The third recipient, Food Outreach Program, Senior Center, sponsored by Grace Glens Ferry. They requested $5,000 for meals that they serve from the Senior Center, serving the needs in a community for food insecurity. $5,000 to them. Next is the Teen Youth Group Ministry from Holy Nativity Meridian. This was for a new program, startup funds for youth ministry called WINGS, Worship, Integrity, Nurture, God, Service. This teen group, it's a way for them, for their youth to be connected and to build a lasting bond to the Episcopal Church. They plan outreach projects to the community for their youth. They asked for $2,000. They were awarded $2,000. Next is Paradise Point Camp. They asked for upgrades for their risk and safety equipment, which is a long list of a lot of things, in the amount of $13,950. But within that amount, there were key things that supported their ongoing training and stabilization of their program. So within that $13,000 request, they were allotted $6,498 to support the safety and the training program. Next is the telecommunications equipment for the church at St. Michael's, Boise. This grant addressed the Christian formation via telecommunication, which could reach other congregations and meets the evangelism criteria for the Idaho Episcopal Foundation. They requested $4,600, and their grant was approved for the full amount. Next was a video streaming equipment request from St. Stephen's, Boise, and it was a technology request for PTZ cameras and all of the accessories. Their request was in the amount of $5,785, and the request met the criteria and was fully funded. Next is shelving and storage for props and costumes from the St. Thomas Playhouse and outreach ministry for St. Thomas Sun Valley. They requested $1,000 for this. Their request was recommended and fully funded for $1,000. And next is a church sign at St. David's, Caldwell, which meets the growing needs of their community. They requested the amount of $14,050, and after careful consideration, they were awarded $7,990 to help meet their request. And then the final one was for the purchase of food for Emmett Valley Friendship Coalition, St. Mary's Emmett. Due to the failure of their HVAC system and their refrigeration system during the heat of the summer, they had to spend all of their savings to make repairs to the program to actually save their program. They were in a temporary situation and they needed help. The grants committee determined that this was a special cause request and due to the extenuating circumstances, their request for $5,000 was fully funded. Thank you so much.
Jamie, thank you. Send our thanks and our prayers and greetings to your committee, won't you? Thank you. There are more grants to award, this time in the form of the Rose grants. This time I would invite forward all deans and missioners to the stage, so we might, in likewise fashion, show off our grant recipients.
Greetings from the Southwestern Deanery, and we're excited to announce the project as presented by our 5 congregations, and we were able to award each grant $1,000.
All 5 of our congregations submitted thorough requests for projects, ministries, and celebrations that fulfill the requirements for our Rose grants.
Here are the projects put forth by our congregations. St. James Mountain Home received $1,000 for hygiene kits for the homeless. These kits will contain bath soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant, combs, washcloths, and oh, so many more things went in those bags. They will partner with local first responders and law enforcement to distribute within the community from the patrol cars.
Holy Nativity Meridian will receive $1,000 to help fund the new Wings youth group. Wings is an acronym, as you just heard, for worship, integrity, nurture, God, and service. Funding will help provide means for travel expenses for youth outreach projects, materials for those projects, and special event planning.
St. Stephen's Boise will receive $1,000 in support of the Davis Education Fund Chamber Music Series. St. Stephen's is hosting 2 string quartet concerts this year as fundraisers in support of its Davis Education Fund, which offers grants throughout the Boise schools to teachers, students, and programs. Over the last 2 years, the Davis Education Fund has distributed over $20,000 in grants.
St. Michael's Boise will receive $1,000 for helping the homeless and hungry. This grant will support the ongoing work and ministry of St. Michael's Sack Lunch program and thrift shop outreach. Funds will be used specifically for bottled water and food, as well as supplies such as backpacks, sleeping bags, coats, and shoes.
All Saints Boise will receive $1,000 in support of their 75th anniversary celebration and renewal. All Saints hosted events throughout All Hallows Inside on November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, inviting both members of the broader community to share in the apostles' teaching and fellowship, breaking of bread, and in their prayers. We rejoice with them on this momentous occasion, their 75th anniversary, and opportunity for spiritual renewal.
Thanks to all the people, wardens, and clergy of the Southwestern Deanery for submitting these proposals for the vocations and their ministries. And Sue, would you tell us very quickly about that?
On December 12th, save the date, Southwest Deanery Open House at the Bishop's House, not Joseph's house, at the Bishop's House up by the Penitentiary. This house was purchased by Bishop Funston, and 6 or 7 bishops have lived in it. It is now a public event center. And if you are anywhere near Boise on December 12th, between 5 and 7, we would love to have you come tour this beautiful home and get acquainted with your fellow Episcopalians.
Greetings, friends. Johnny Kendall, Missioner for the Central Deanery, along with Susan Kelly Harkey, who is our new dean. We're so glad to have you. We received 3 Rose grant applications, all of which met the requirements and that we were overjoyed to be able to support and fund. The first gift is going to go to Calvary in Jerome. We're offering $620, and that work will go to support regional youth events. The second was St. Thomas Sun Valley. Do you want to say something about that since it's my church? No? Okay. Well, they went through a rigorous evaluation. So St. Thomas Playhouse requested money to support sets that are used for a theater tour that we do, where Playhouse goes to all the various local schools, puts on a performance, and encourages kids to participate in this summer program. We awarded St. Thomas Playhouse $620. Yeah. And then finally, Grace Church in Glens Ferry, we are really pleased to be able to award them $3,650 to support church maintenance and also for ongoing work and partnering that they have with the local senior center to support that center with meals. So thank you for your good work. Thank you for submitting these applications. God bless.
I'm Joanna Fulgenzi with the Western Deanery. My missioner had another obligation, so it's just me. All right, we had 5 apply for the Rose Grant of our 6 parishes. St. Andrew's McCall wanted to upgrade their sound system, so they were granted $1,500 for that. St. David's in Caldwell has 2 outreach groups that they do. They work with the students at the College of Idaho in Caldwell, especially those that are from out of the country, that often live there all year, and Canyon Springs Alternative High School. If you don't know, alternative high schools are expected to be their own funding. They get a little bit of assistance from their district, but alternative high schools are on their own. So if you have any alternative high school, which you all do in your communities, you might want to check because they rely on a lot of outside help. And we, St. David's Caldwell, has $1,111. Grace Nampa. Nampa this year has changed to a 4-day school day, and so they are working on a Friday school program, and they were granted $1,200 for that. St. Luke's Weiser is reaching out to some of their assisted living facilities, and they wanted large print forward movement for 3 of those facilities, and they were granted $228 for that. And St. Mary's in Emmett is working with the Emmett Valley Friendship Coalition, which is a meal program support, and they were granted $961.
My name is Haiti LeCourbier. I am missioner for the Eastern Deanery. Our deans are Bruce and Barbara Turner, whom you have seen a certain amount of in the last day or two, and who have worked hard on this as on everything else. We received 5 requests, all of which we were able to fund to one extent or another, to fund at least fully. From the first, we awarded $500 to the Church of the Epiphany, ARCO, for a fall festival outreach event reaching out to potential food and diaper bank patrons. Secondly, we awarded $500 to the Church of St. Francis of the Tetons, Alta, towards the purchase of an automated external defibrillator. $500 was awarded to the Church of the Redeemer, Salmon, for music supplies and, as needed, a guest musician to facilitate an evening of Taizé-style worship. I tried to get the deans to do this next one, but we did. $1,000 was awarded to Trinity Church Pocatello towards the which was 1/4 of the cost, actually 1/5 of the cost of replacing our commercial refrigerator serving our 2 big mission projects, which died 2 days after the IEF grant deadline. And lastly, to Good Shepherd Fort Hall, towards the replacement of secure and welcoming front doors for its parish hall, $2,500.
Thank you to our deans and our missioners and the many committees and all of our parishes that work hard to put those grants forward. Thank you to the Bishop for the generosity of offering our Rose grants.
If I can interject just real quick, and I apologize. Time manager here, the silent auction is going to close in about 10 minutes. So at the conclusion of our next presentation, we're going to pull those silent auction sheets. If you haven't double checked, not to take away from the next presentation, but time is ticking. You have 10 minutes.
Well heard. Thank you. Our next report before convention is from the Reverend Nancy Coons, who will offer a report on behalf of our General Convention deputation, especially as our chair. So Nancy, please.
And
Is the team invited to join you?
you're invited to join me. Four of us in particular are going to speak, but I want to introduce everybody. I'm afraid of falling off the back of the Somebody that, do we have clicker?
Yes, my battery just died.
Oh,
So
of
I'm looking for a
course.
battery.
It is a very big step off the mat.
We followed your boot around.
I am Nancy Coons from Church of the Ascension. I was chair of the deputation from Idaho to the 81st General Convention of the Episcopal Church in Louisville this past June. And we'll move to the next bishop. Is Megan up here?
You said I could just stand when you said my name.
So these plus Megan are the deputies. So you're listed first, Megan.
Oh, I'm all right.
Debbie, yep. Tammy Jones, Jonah Kendall, me, and Dennis. Over there were your clergy deputies, lay deputies, Sue Boland, Albor Gorman, Ron Brayman, and Betsy Leesmore. We are all here except Betsy, who is in South Africa. I can't imagine why she didn't want to be here instead of there. Thank you. You can go sit down if you want. The people who are speaking probably need to hang around.
They're all dead.
So can you manually?
Yes,
put it?
I'm gonna manually do it.
Oh, we'll point.
Okay, less obvious is okay.
Yeah. So, lovely picture of the group in front of the sign with all the different pronunciations of Louisville. You can pick your own. We're going to talk about just a very few of the 394 resolutions we dealt with over there. But I wanted to give you a little definition first because you might be confused about why is that a D resolution and what is an A resolution. So A resolutions originated in a committee or a task force of the Episcopal Church. B resolutions originated with a bishop or bishops. C resolutions originated with a diocese or province. And D resolutions with a deputy or deputies. And now we'll bring up Al to talk about what it's like to be a first-time deputy.
I was the alternate. I didn't find out until relatively close to when convention was starting that I was going to be one. But it's a heck of a fun time. I wanted to do a portion of this because I wanted to encourage everyone to give it a try. There is a culture around General Convention of what is it, 6 times or more, and you get some sort of 7 times or more, you get some sort of special thing on your name tag or whatnot. So I think that's great. But you know what? Our church is a growing and changing, ever-changing family, and I want to encourage everybody to try to run for the positions of general convention deputy, and go to this if you have the chance. You get to meet awesome people. You get to see great places. I got to visit the Louisville Slugger Museum. Jonah got to eat hot brown. I'm still not exactly sure what it is. Because it was Louisville, there was bourbon. So, but I want to talk about part what it's like, and that is there's a lot of reading. So no lies there. There's a lot of reading. You have a really good chair. She's going to keep you on task. There are so many resolutions, and the best way to deal with it is to split it up. And we did that great. We shared that load together. When it comes to the cost, that is something that eventually I'll get my receipts in, but the diocese covers a lot of it, right? So if you give your receipts, the diocese will pay for it. The biggest cost that's straight to you is trying to get 10 days off work, which, isn't easy for everybody. But when you consider hotels, meals, and travel, it's a huge burden. And it is great that our diocese is committed to sending us there to be, the voice of Idaho, the conscience of Idaho for these resolutions. So basically you get to meet new people. So, that is the biggest thing I wanted to encourage. One of the places that I got to go and see, and one of the evening things they did was talking about the history of the indigenous boarding schools and the Episcopal Church. We do have a task force that's working on history and also working on healing. Basically, very similar to a Truth and Reconciliation Committee that Canada has. And I want to show you things that I learned that kind of shocked me, which is the Episcopal Church was essentially the founder of indigenous boarding schools. And we are in a unique, not an entirely unique position, but we had an indigenous boarding school here in our diocese. So it is something that we should always keep front of mind as we are ministering to healing in the world, especially with our indigenous brothers and sisters. The boarding school in Pennsylvania was actually used as a template for the boarding schools that were built and run by Canada. So understand that the Episcopal Church has a lot to answer for, but we also have, I think, a great heart in learning to forward that. So.
How can you speak on what these boarding schools were like for people who might not know and think it's a nice boarding school where you go and you eat, you go to class?
I think, so there were, I not only took a few pictures, I have all of the slides that I took pictures of, but I think that Ron actually has a great display outside, and if you have heard his presentation on Doctrine of Discovery, you'll understand what they were like. Indigenous kids were taken away from their homes, away from their families, away from their tribes, and they were assimilated. And the phrase was to kill the Indian, save the man, right? Got that right? And what they would do is they would not allow them to speak their native languages. They cut their hair. They put them in, these uniforms or Christian white clothing. They wouldn't let them wear any of their traditional clothes. And in these cases, bringing a whole bunch of kids into one spot with a bunch of, maybe well-meaning, but white people who had diseases they'd never been exposed to. Many children didn't go home. They died, and they are on that boarding school property somewhere. And I think many of you have seen the news in Canada where they're trying to figure out where all of these children were buried and trying to get them back to their ancestral homes for honor and burial. Which I think is something that the Episcopal Church is working towards as well. So a few things that the Episcopal Church, or the churches that ran boarding schools, because the Catholics did too, they would keep the money so that the tribes had resources. The federal government would pay the tribes for resources, but the federal government would hold that money. It would pay the money to the schools to take care of children, and thank you, Megan, to take care of these kids. And in fact, we saw an example of a letter that one tribal chief had written to the boarding school saying that they understood that the children were malnourished, were suffering from diseases. Where is all this money that is ours that you're supposed to be spending towards the care of our kids? So I want to put this front and center for us because we do have a history to reckon with, and we do have healing that needs to happen here in the diocese. And being able to hang around, to listen to that, to hear what the Episcopal Church is doing. Again, it's one of the reasons I spoke against reducing the assessments because for the Episcopal Church in general, because I think that the money that we send to them helps us all. And part of that money is, again, supporting this, I can't remember the exact name of it. I just want to call it Truth and Reconciliation Committee, but that's not exactly what it is. So, so moving forward, as we look at the History Fort Hall and, truth telling. I'll look it up. I'm sorry. But yes, that's, so, and then I also have all the slides if any of you guys want to see them at some point. So, and then, oh yes, no, that probably should have gone before.
No, because we're gonna talk about, I'm going backwards, excuse me. There, now we want to talk about that,
Oh, that piece, yes, okay.
although we want to make sure it's too.
We did, yeah. One thing that's pretty nifty, being a first-time deputy, is I also got to be there for the election of a new presiding bishop. And much like the election of our bishop here, it happened in one vote, which was pretty awesome. And they have this big to-do where the sergeant at arms comes in and they lead the people from the House of Bishops in, because they can't just come in on their own. It's our house. So they lead them in and they talk about what happened when they all leave and go to the church together, and white smoke, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of praying. But in one election, there were 5 candidates. Bishop Rowe was the winner in the first election, on the first ballot. And then what happens is they come to us and we get to confirm it. And so that's pretty fun. And you get to see, how many people support him, but that we got to put that up on the board and everybody was cheering and it was all happy, joy. And so yes, it's a pretty awesome experience. I do encourage you all to try. So when we do next convention, get your ballot, get your applications in to stand to be voted as a deputy to General Convention the following year, which will be 2 years, which will be in Arizona. But they know how to do, Phoenix, I know, but they know how to do heat. Louisville doesn't know how to, like even the shade there sucks. So, yeah, I want to encourage it. I'm excited, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to do this, and I just want to share that excitement. So, yep.
Okay. So this was my 5th general convention. I have served 4 times as a deputy and once as a volunteer. So at general convention, some of us also served on committees, and I served on the Title III Ministry Committee. So when you're on a committee, the resolutions come to you, you go through them, you change them if you want, then you have hearings, and then they're presented at convention. Sometimes they go on the consent calendar and you just vote on one big drop of a bunch of resolutions. There was only one resolution from my committee that went to the floor. And since it was a ministry resolution, it went to the House of Bishops first. It was resolution Dio 23. It was support for the Association for Episcopal Deacons, also known as AED. AED for the past 50 years has served as the primary network to encourage and grow the diaconate. This resolution was asking for a one-time grant for the triennium in the amount of $50,000, and our bishops did not pass it. Boo. So the committee had to take it back and rewrite it, hoping it would make it through the House of Deputies. So at this meeting, we sat down and we turn around and there's like wall-to-wall deacons standing there, wanting to talk to us and asking the bishops that served on that committee why they let their deacons down. They became known as a disturbance of deacons. So we rewrote the resolution asking for a one-time grant for the triennium in the amount of $20,000 and also encouraging congregations and dioceses to support the diaconate better. So that resolution did pass the House and the bishops did concur. So AED will be receiving $20,000 for the triennium. The other
with the deacons.
Yay, deacons, okay. The other one I'm just going to talk about because we already passed it, but I want you to know why it came before us. It was Resolution A-135, the compensation for non-stipendiary clergy. It encourages each diocese to consider paying all active, current, non-stipendiary clergy of any order under the age of 72 canonically resident in and serving in the Episcopal Church with a letter of agreement with the congregation they serve a minimum of $25 per month and pay assessments on their behalf to the church pension fund to enable access to applicable benefits from the fund beginning January 1, 2025. And this resolution passed the House of Deputies and it was concurred by the House of Bishops. So that's why this resolution was brought to you today. And in closing, I would just like to say that this was my last general convention.
What?
I'm passing the torch to younger people.
You are the younger people.
And that's sad. Okay, the young ones are the future, and they should be making the decisions. The young people, clergy and lay that served on the Idaho delegation were awesome. I was proud to serve with them, and now I hope more young people step up. Thank you for letting me serve all these years, and I'll be there voting for all you young ones next convention. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue Bowman. This was my fourth general convention. My first was a full-time volunteer in Salt Lake. And it was exciting because I was on the floor of the convention for not only the election of Michael Curry, but when we, when we passed the marriage equality resolution, just ahead of the Supreme Court nationwide. The Episcopal Church was there first. So the last two conventions, I have served on the Credentials Committee. Nobody gets on the floor of the convention without going past credentials. And there were 5 of us. And they divided us up by parts of the country. And I was fortunate, part of the alphabet I got to register my own deputation. And I'm going to clarify just a little bit the difference between a deputy and a delegate. As a delegate, you are here representing your parish. And you've had delegation meetings talking about, is our parish going to support XYZ? As a deputy, you vote your conscience. You can get all the input you want from your diocese, but when the rubber meets the road, it's between you and God and the voting members. That's a big difference between delegate and deputy. Just bear that in mind. So as credentials, you show up, you have to prove who you are. You have to sign a waiver saying that you're not going to sue the church if you fall down and go boom. I pass you off to my partner who gives you your lanyard and stuff, and then you're allowed on the floor. Many, many parishes have alternates, many dioceses, excuse me, have alternates. So credentials is there first thing in the morning, we're there at lunch to make swaps, and if there's an evening meeting, we're there to make swaps again. So credentials, we're on the clock a lot. And these guys will say, no, I was in the walking boot, and it was a long walk from credentials to the floor. But they were very sportive, very nice, brought me lunch several times. So a lot of the resolutions that came forward were hard to talk about. There was a lot of division, there was a lot of conflict, but there was a lot of joy, and those are the ones I want to talk about. So Resolution Dio 5.1, the reunion of the Diocese of Wisconsin. Once upon a time, there was the Diocese of Wisconsin, and then Eau Claire broke off, and then Fond du Lac broke off, and then Milwaukee broke off. And they have existed as separate dioceses for a number of years. And they got into conversation with one another and realized they really had more in common and wanted to come back to just being the Diocese of Wisconsin. And that required approval from General Convention. And we were thrilled to be able to affirm that. CO25 is comparable. It's called the juncture of the Episcopal Diocese of Eastern and Western Michigan. They have never been the same diocese. It's sort of like we're down here in the Diocese of Idaho and Northern Idaho is Spokane, and never the twain shall meet. That's kind of how it was in Michigan. And they decided to form a unique diocese. It is now called the Diocese of the Great Lakes, and they are one. It was beautiful. The Las Vegas all cry. It was so cool. And then, of course, you've all known several parishes have had viewings or showings of the Philadelphia 11, the first 11 women ordained into the Episcopal Church. And this resolution formally acknowledged that. And I'm going to read this for those of you who can't, those in the back, like Al. O God of persistent grace, you called the Philadelphia 11 to the priesthood and granted them courage and boldness to respond, thereby opening the eyes of your church to the giftedness and equality of all. Grant us to hear, trust, and follow your Holy Spirit wherever she may lead, that the gifts of all your people may flourish throughout the earth through Christ our Savior. Amen. And we had every ordained female stand up in that hall, and it was fun. So,
Thank you. So I was chair of the Stewardship and Socially Responsible Investing Committee, which is basically the Episcopal Church putting its money where its mouth is. We determine, one, if we're not going to invest in a particular area. For example, the Episcopal Church does not invest in tobacco and does not invest in guns. However, we do invest frequently in areas to promote social justice. So for example, we will invest in a company so we can be invited and do resolutions to the annual meetings of these publicly traded companies for things such as diversity on their board of directors, or better working environment for their people, or better environmental practices. So rather than blackballing everybody, we get inside and make change from inside through our investments, what I think is absolutely brilliant. This year, it was one of the most interesting resolutions we had was talking about the new generation of weapons. We can say that this company makes guns, we're not going to invest in that. But many of our newer generation of weapons are made from off-the-shelf products. So the microchip that controls this weaponized drone is the same one that controls your microwave oven. So it makes it very difficult to figure out how are you going to make a difference in that world. And we had experts come speak to us. It's basically out for a study. We couldn't get enough information in a short time to make a call on it. But those are the kind of things that the Episcopal Church looks at before it does any investing or denying investing in any company. And I would tell you that it does not, the investing that we do does not affect the returns on the money invested by the Episcopal Church, because its return beats every benchmark there is out there every year. So we are putting our money where our mouth is. There were many resolutions and many debates related to expansive and inclusive language in our liturgies. Some of you might come across some of these at some point in the future going, well, I don't remember that it said exactly that before. It is available out there for clergy to use or worship leaders to use if you want to go out and look. But it got really complicated sometimes because there may be a disagreement about what a word means. There would be extended debate about a word in something. But there are now more resources available because of that. And then my favorite thing of all on this is that I started working with the Episcopal Church in Navajo land in 2011. And this year they have worked really hard to raise up Navajo clergy and to gain their own control of their own finances, so they know where they stood, so they could budget, so they could do things like that. And this year they were an area mission, which meant that their leadership, their bishop, was appointed by the presiding bishop. They had no choice. This year they petitioned to become a missionary diocese. Sounds very similar, area mission, missionary diocese. The big difference is they now can elect their own bishop. So they get to elect their own leadership, which is a big thing for them and a big step. They're still missionary, which means the Episcopal Church is still obligated to support them, but they now get to elect their own leadership. So we now have the Navajo Land Missionary Diocese, and there was a lot of tears related to that one. So we weren't always in legislative sessions. We were in legislative sessions a lot, but there were other activities that we were able to do. And one of them was just a few blocks from where our convention center was the corner where Thomas Merton had his mystic vision about all these people were strangers, but he loved them all. And this plaque is on that corner commemorating that. He was at an abbey there in Kentucky and was in Louisville when he had his vision. So wandered down to visit that plaque, saw this interesting piece of art that's on the ground. Not sure if that's supposed to be him or not, but I got it in the picture as well. And then there was the Bishops United Against Gun Violence held a march to Jefferson Square Park, where we had speakers, most of them young people, part of the Youth Against Gun Violence, who were telling their stories about shootings in their communities or in their schools. And you can see that this is our missing Deputy Bessie Leesmore holding a sign about shootings in Indianapolis. There were several folks there who were handed signs to hold up during this. I want to reiterate, it's against gun violence, not against guns. But the point is, there is so much gun violence that goes on in our world. And in fact, a couple of blocks away from where the convention center, there was a shooting the first night of the convention. So it's around all the time. But many of us participated in this march. So after many Zoom meetings preparing for it, don't we all love Zoom? 6 days of legislative sessions, 4 joint sessions with the House of Bishops, 6 worship services, 394 resolutions acted on, many elections held, I didn't try to count. A march, Bishop Curry's final revival, a Kentucky night, lots of laughs, a few tears. We had 9 days with, I will say this in capital letters, the best deputation ever. So after all that, the sun set on our time in Louisville. But what is next? it isn't over. Just like the resolution that Eileen brought before us, there are other actions of General Convention that need to be addressed by this diocese. Normally, the General Convention office sends out a list of those actions so that the dioceses can deal with them. These deputies have volunteered to help with what needs to be done in our diocese with those when we get that list. So we're not quite done yet. But as Al mentioned, the election of the next deputation is next year. So it's in Phoenix in 2027, but election is in 2025. And I do encourage you strongly to consider whether this is something that you might enjoy. Some people say, do it once and say, yeah, I don't ever want to do that again. Other people get in it and kind of never want to leave, but I, like Tammy, this is my last year. This was my last one. So I encourage, yeah, it's time for the gray hairs to step back. I do encourage you to consider it. If you think you would like that, to me, it's amazing to get to know people from all over the church. It's amazing to see what the Episcopal Church does at the worldwide level, because we are a worldwide church, and much of the actions taken there revolve around that. So I do consider, when the nomination forms come out next year, consider whether you would like to do this in 2027. It is an amazing experience. Thank you.
Thank you, friends. We have two more reports before we take a break. I would ask our presenters to be mindful of trying to keep us on schedule so we can have a break. The next report will be from the Reverend Ellen Blackman about our Global Mission Partnership. Ellen, thank you.
Sorry. Good afternoon. I'm Ellen Blackman. I'm from St. Michael's. I'm a deacon there and also help out in Glenns Ferry. Bishop asked me a year ago, would I be interested in doing a project? And I brought it to convention, and it was $750 for a cow. We got cows last year. The churches were very, very generous. We got 5 cows. And those people that received the cows in Kenya, they were having to go through training. They had to build shelters, and then they had to take tests on what they had learned. On Friday, before I came to convention, I got a letter from Bishop Rose. And the 5 churches that had received the cows had sent us a letter. Oh. Now, as time has gone on with this program, we have raised $10,000, and today I was told we have received another $3,000 for this program. This program will enable people to share the milk that they have received. When the cows are being born, they will stay with the mother, and as soon as they're able, they will now be passed on to another priest. And that way, the dairy project will expand. We have 92 priests that are needing these cows, so we have a large number to go. But with what we have received, we will now have, in the end, 20 cows this year when they all calve. Bishop Rose picked these churches in outlying areas. The people are very poor. The priests don't get even stipends. They live by oil lamps, not computers. They have to go in town to even contact us. So she chose these 5 churches to do this program and to be the very first ones. So now we have 10 churches that we're working with. 5 that churches are here in Boise, Idaho. St. James, St. Stephen's, St. Mary's, Mountain Home, and St. Michael's. And when we picked these with the bishop, they are all kind of scattered in different sized communities. St. Michael's is now working with St. Mark's. St. Mark's has 862 parishioners, 200 youth in their program. All these churches are growing, and they're asking us not for money but to be a partner with them, to share, help, and communicate with them, whether it's Bible study, whether it's compline evening prayer. We're working towards that program, and actually the grant that we received today will help pay for some of the technology that we have to have for the program to go on. And people from Boise, Kenya, we can all be on a Zoom meeting together. What I ask you today to do is to think about it. We're going to show a short video, and it's with the people who are there with these cows. In the very beginning, they're soft spoken, and then the sound will come up. So, Renee.
I want to take this opportunity and thank God for the gift of life that He has given us today. It's so important to thank God and to glorify Him. And also thank Mama Skofu for this opportunity that she has given unto us at the cry of the diocese. Mama Skofu, what you have done is a very important thing in our lives, because as ministers, we encounter so many challenges as we do ministry. And more so, the challenge that we have is how we can uplift ourselves, how we can manage our families. Because of the material resources we have, sometimes it's a very huge challenge to us to sustain us. And so, through you and the other partners that you have partnered with to give us these cows, we are so grateful because we know through these cows, they are going to be very much beneficial to us. We shall be getting milk, we shall be getting manure, which will enable us to grow even more crops, to sustain us, and also to make us move forward to do ministry. And so another thing is that as the first beneficiary, we promise to work very hard. You know, raising dairy animals is not an easy thing, it's a challenge, but we promise that we are going to work hard and also work hand in hand with our sisters to ensure that this project is successful, and also other clergy are able to benefit from us, and also to encourage the donors who will be providing funds to come forward and give us more. We are grateful and thank God for this opportunity. Thank you.
And the entire team, I want to thank God this day of today for giving us this opportunity to receive this daily animal as a minister in the ministry. Receiving this daily animal, it is going to help me even as a servant of God. Sometimes it's a challenge even to give a tithe in the church. But from this project, it is going to empower me to support the ministry in Thanksgiving, giving my tithe, and even during festive seasons, because it has been a challenge to us as ministers, even to traveling and doing so many other things in the ministry. But from today, taking care of this daily animal, it will help me to stand with the ministry of the Lord. Praise God.
In our relations and conversations with our friends, and particularly the Diocese of Idaho, we were able to receive this grant. Our prayer is that this beginning will culminate into a much bigger support program for clergy in the diocese, because Bishop Tarakan and the clergy are the ones who are mobilizing for this grant. So what normally happens, people sacrifice to support each other in ministry. That is how it has happened. And that's how normally it will happen. When you see people donating, they are sacrificing to support our ministry. And therefore, we pray that this will go a long way in supporting clergy ministry, because we appreciate how difficult it is doing ministry with meager resources, and sometimes without a stipend. Like in our case, we know that we go without a stipend for even 3-4 months, sometimes even 6 months. But if this cow is properly taken care of, it will then be able to give us economic empowerment that will be able to support our families, as well as like Reverend Jen and Geoffrey says, be able even to support the entire ministry. So our prayer is that when you receive this, please take care of them.
Jina lako litukuzwe, Bwana pokea sifa. Pokea sifa. Bwana pokea sifa. Jina lako litukuzwe, Bwana pokea sifa.
Thank you so much. That God, through prayer and conversation, you foster a relationship that has culminated into this great support for our clergy in this diocese. Thank you for the diocese of Idaho and Bishop Jos Karakan, together with all those who have sacrificed to give to us this support program. My Father, we pray and commit it to you, that you will journey with us, that will cause you to prosper, that every minister who will be engaged with ministry in this church in Butere will celebrate of your goodness through these gifts from your servants. So Lord, we pray even for those who are going to receive, the first receivers, that God, you will cause them the diligence, the energy to be able to safeguard these animals, and that God, you are turning them into a great blessing into their lives as they do your ministry in their various parishes and in their families. So bless the work of your servants in Jesus' name.
And now the blessing of God Almighty, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you and remain with you always.
Amen.
In the name of God the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
When I go to church, I know I'm carrying something in my pocket. So may God bless the eyes of people, whatever they have done, may they do it to others. I thank the Diocese of Butere for Bishop Rose. What she thought was so good, because she thought of benefiting our clergy. The ones that have been suffering when they are at the parish, they don't have anything to eat. But when they go to this, when everybody will get a thing, I know they're going to be happy the way I am happy. Me, I'm happy, I'm relaxed. I don't have any problem now. Even when I sleep, I drink milk or taking milk in the morning. So may God bless you. God bless Bishop Rose for what is the thought of in the diocese, and may God bless the Idaho people for the much they are doing to our diocese. Market where I sell my milk. When I just enter, I find my customers waiting for me ready to take, because I take care of the milk. It's very sweet for them, so they like my milk. Every evening when I come, they just wait for me.
Mrembe anapata kama customer amemgoja. Maziwa anachukuanga kwa sababu ni mzuri, ila inafanya niko na afya, na hiyo maziwa ya mama Eveli bibi ya padri aongezane maji, ni maziwa vizuri, na hata ukikunywa hata imefutia customer wengi. Sasa anatoka nyumbani, akifika hapo Brende market, watu wanakuja wananunua, anapatana toka
Mary from St. Mary's, and she's agreed their church to work in partnership with one of the churches there in Ventura. And the last thing that I want to say is that the state of Idaho, Diocese of Idaho, the Episcopal News Service has come and talked to Bishop Joes, Bishop Rose, and Daniel Conchas about our program that we're doing. And they're going to publish it. The paper is coming up soon so that you can read all the articles that he has talked to them about. If any of you have any interest in working with us in the program, we sure can use you. We have 92 churches.
So I wanted to come up here partly to support Ellen in her endeavor, and I will be the priest at St. Mary's starting in February. And I decided to volunteer our church without talking to them, which made me really nervous. And because there have been people within our congregation that had talked to me about, did I know that the Episcopal Church did all of this work throughout the world, not just in our local communities? And I said, yes, I do. And so they wanted to find opportunities. And so about a month ago, I shared with the church in a sermon about what we were doing and that we were assigned with St. John's Crucero and the Reverend Nganga, who is the priest at a church for 300 people and serves 5 schools in chaplaincy and administration. And I was so pleased that the church was so excited. I have actually emailed with Reverend Nganga a couple different times about what we do at St. Mary's and what he does. And some of this is not because we are forgetting about our community. We definitely continue to look for ways to continue to support our community, but we are also doing it to help us make connections beyond our community and to help us learn from each other, to help us learn about the differences within our own faith. They're Anglican, it's not that different, but their culture and their customs that they do in church, and they also can in turn learn from us. So we do this because we remember that we are all one church under God, and to be able to love and share with others. So I encourage you all to consider maybe developing this sort of partnership where at first maybe it's just some emails across the miles, but hopefully it will continue to grow to be something better, but for both us and for the people in Butera.
I won't take much time, but I do want to share a couple of things before they both leave. One, the reason we chose Butere in Kenya is the only diocese, only woman bishop in Kenya. That's the reason why we chose that particular diocese, to support the priesthood of all people without any discrimination. So that is a wonderful blessing. Second, I want to invite all of you for the next ordination to priesthood of Mary. That will be in Emmet. That's on the 1st of February. Please put that in your calendars. Third, I do want to say a word of thanks to Ellen. There is a lot of work that she has done, incredible work that she has done. When I first asked her if she would chair this program, she was not sure. And I said, I think you are the right person. And she just proven to be more than just right person. She is, some of you must have watched or noticed right now, maybe a little anxious, and she is worried. She's worried about her mother. I do want all of you to pray for her. Pray for her mother. And understand, this is being done in the context and the struggles of daily life, and she's approved. Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Next on our schedule is a presentation on evangelism. We welcome forward Sarah Carley. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi, everyone. I know you thought you'd be having coffee by now, and unfortunately, brevity is not one of my gifts. But talking at speed is, so sit up and pay attention, because I'm going to try and get through this a little quickly. So I am Sarah Colling Polk. I'm going for a name change. 10 years of marriage, I finally told him I'd change my name. It's not going smoothly. So I'm really thrilled to be with you here. This is my first convention, and I am the newest member of the congregation at St. Mary's in Emmett. I'm also a Christian podcaster, and my background is that I spent years working in growth and marketing. But really, I'm just someone who's fallen in love with this church and this community and wants to help us share that love with more people. And having spent 2 days with you all, I am pretty sure I'm preaching to the choir about that need. Now, I wasn't always a Christian. In fact, I'm pretty sure one day I'm going to be sitting having beers with Jesus, and he's going to look at me and go, Sarah, did you really have to try every sin before you started coming to the church? Yes, I did. But when I got to St. Mary's, I found this place of peace and grounding, and somewhere that really meant it when they said, you're welcome here, no matter how sketchy your background might be. But with that joy came this kind of harsh reality that the family I only just found a little later in life is shrinking. And not because people don't want this community like ours. I think we all know, especially this week, that the world needs our community. And, you know, we have this epidemic of loneliness and a number of other issues. But we really haven't told them that we exist. We're not the greatest at doing that. We haven't shown them the freedom and acceptance and love that they can find in this diocese here in Idaho. And the numbers, I'm skipping the presentation just in interests of speed. The numbers are pretty grim. So I've done some analysis based on my data and marketing background. And here in Idaho, we are looking at fewer than 600 people attending services weekly 10 years from now. That's a 40% drop, which from the record, the numbers now are 40% lower than they were 10 years ago. Nationally, that's even worse. Based on the national numbers I've looked at, the Episcopal Church in the US could be gone in 18 years, which isn't really a very long time. Think about where you were 18 years ago. Seems like 5 minutes. And then, as I was preparing this talk, the Anglican Church of Canada pretty much announced it's on life support. In 1961, they had 44,000 baptisms. Last year, that was fewer than 3,600, which isn't just like a warning, that is a death knell for the Anglican Church in Canada. So here I am, having just found you all. You're stuck with me now, whether you like it or not. But I'm realizing there might not be an Episcopal church for my grandkids to come to. And many of you have spoken to me over the last 2 days, and I'm sure you got the impression I'm not good at being on the sidelines. And so I'm not going to stand on the sidelines now and just watch this church disappear. I'm not going to just sit around and do nothing. I've spent 20 years helping really big brands grow. And I have decided that I am putting every bit of that experience to work for us here in the Diocese in Idaho. So I've been working with Bishop Jose, and we've been brainstorming ideas. I've been talking to a lot of other people in the diocese to build a growth plan. But here is the crux of it. It is going to take commitment from every single person in this room and every single person who comes to services with us. We are going to have to raise some money. We're going to have to make this our priority. And I know you're all really busy. You're serving in hundreds and hundreds of ways. But if we don't revitalize now, we're not building something for the future. And we can't wait 5 more years. We can't wait 10 more years. We can't even wait 1 more year, because if we do, the only option left to us is going to be to pass our ministries over to other churches. And I think we already know that we have a lot of ministries, especially in marginalized communities, that other churches are not going to support the way we do. They're not going to show the love that we do. So I want to take a minute briefly and remember where we come from. And Bishop, you mentioned the church in Idaho and where that comes from. I'm going to take you all the way back to Cranmer. Deacon Mary told me when I was preparing this, she was like, you got to go read about Cranmer. And I was reminded that the Church of England led the whole world into a new kind of worship. The Episcopal Church was the first to change. I mean, we can talk about the Greek Orthodox and go into history, but we're not going to. Cranmer and his allies were courageous. They faced execution. And we don't face that, but you'd think we do with how quiet we are sometimes. We need to be a little bit more courageous about sharing the gospel, even if it gets a little uncomfortable. Because the world is changing, and ours, almost uniquely, is a love that embraces everyone. So this is our moment to be at that forefront again. We can change what Christianity looks like again. And so we're not done yet. And I think we need to decide right here, right now, that we're not giving up. And you might recognize those words because they're the words that the presiding bishop used during his inauguration sermon last week. And I think they're really perfect for this moment. And so I want us to do something together because we know that a shout can bring down walls. And I think we all have some walls inside of us psychologically that are stopping us from sharing this amazing church with all of the people around us. So I am going to ask you to shout with me the words right here, right now, to commit to making a change in how we share the gospel with people. Are you with me? Please be with me. Don't make me stand up here and embarrass myself. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, right here, right now. Oh, amen. Thank you. That was a really nervy moment, I gotta tell you. So, Karen mentioned earlier that the way we do this isn't necessarily through the internet. I've been an internet marketer for years. I can tell you that's not going to work. We can't Google our way out of this problem. But we do need to be more intentional about how we share our church. So, as I said, there's lots of things that the bishop and I are working on, and I have lots of ideas, but I wanted to share a starting point with you today. And the strategy is inspired by Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So where we are right now is actually we're an army. Today's Shout Together proved that we are an army moving together, over 1,000 people strong in Idaho, dedicated to Jesus, and most importantly, not willing to exclude anyone. While some of our other churches may have gone the way of the Pharisees, we love. And we need to be really loud about that fact. And what we have is that history of love. People who cherish the church, cherish the beautiful deep roots of our liturgy. And so we're going to do what we can. We're going to share our love of Jesus, share the joy, but we're going to do it a little differently to how I think we have in the past. Because here's what I believe, and I understand the irony of me as a new Christian standing in front of bishops and priests and deacons and everyone else telling you all what I believe. But it's not our job to change people. All we're supposed to do is open the door so that the Holy Spirit can do the rest. And to do that, to open the door, we have to stop keeping our fabulous services a secret. So the strategy I'm proposing is called 1 by 1 by 1. And it's 3 simple things. I'm encouraging every person in our church, everyone who comes to church with you on Sundays, to have one conversation a month with someone new about Jesus. One person who you've never had a conversation about faith with before. Phone someone up, have a little chat, drop in the name of Jesus. The second step is I'm challenging everyone to bring one guest to church in the next 12 months. Now, if you're having a conversation with someone new every month, one of those people has to be curious enough to see what this liturgy thing's all about, right? If we can get just 6% of those guests to start coming to weekly services, we've made our growth target. And that's it. 60 people across the diocese is a really small number and a really significant start. And I'm going to pick on Edward. Where is he? Has he disappeared? He has disappeared. How dare he? Edward shared earlier that he came to the Episcopal Church because he was invited. So we know, we have proof that people who are invited come and stay, and they too start to share what we have. Finally, I want us to remember that we are building one community in faith, because this isn't just about Episcopalians, it's about people following Christ.
And some people might not connect with us specifically. God runs a really great ice cream parlor, and not everybody likes Rocky Road. And I know this idea of encouraging people to go elsewhere might seem counterintuitive because, well, one, we're working to fill our own pews, and let's face it, we might not agree with what they're going to be told if we send them elsewhere. But this is how we grow, because businesses don't expect every interaction to lead to a sale. Instead, they focus on relationship building. So I want to encourage you to focus on relationship building too, because even if people go elsewhere, when they eventually feel excluded or doubt or disappointment where they go, they'll remember, hey, those Episcopalians were really friendly and they didn't seem to want to judge me, and they will come back. So that's the plan: one conversation, one invitation, and one big family in Christ. And if you're looking for a starting point, I have left some cards out on all the tables with a little conversation starter. You can throw me under the bus and say, I talked to this crazy English woman the other day, and she wanted me to have this conversation. Feel free, I won't mind. I've also shared on there my podcast, which is about how we practice faith differently. Fair warning, there's a little strong language. I'm personally a little sweary and unapologetically so. But sharing that might help you bounce some new conversations around. I've also shared my email address because I want you to reach out to me and tell me how I can help you reach more people, whether it's websites, email marketing. You may have noticed we've had $120,000 from Google to help us advertise. That's something I've specialized. It's in one of the books. People are giving me confused looks. It's in one of your handouts, I promise. That's what I've done for 20 years, is use Google advertising to help businesses reach more people. And I need ideas for how I can use that to help you reach more people for your parishes. So I'm making myself available. Whatever help you need to get started, I want us to move forward together with intention and purpose so that I can stand here next year, because like I say, you're not getting rid of me, and tell you that we've not just grown by 60 people, but hopefully 120, because I want y'all to surprise me. So by Monday, I want to see 100 emails in my inbox. I want to wake up and have to groan. There's so much to go through. And I'm really hoping that we can work together to revive our church. Hopefully that was really quick and we can all get some coffee.
The convener recognizes the irony of asking for a break after a terrific presentation on a call to action, but how much time do we have for a break? He'll ask the master of ceremonies.
Negative 15 minutes.
Okay, but really, how many?
10 minutes is what I'm willing to give you.
Friends, come back in 9 minutes.
No, wait, before you do.
There's more, sorry.
Yeah, you're not allowed to, that's why it's only 10.
Just kidding. Forgive me. Renee, come on up.
All right. So we have some winners of our silent auction, so I'm going to go through these really quick. I'm going to be pointing at our very own Vanna White, Bruce Turner over yonder. Bruce, we're going to be starting at the icons. All right, and I will try and go in numerical order for icons. Nobody bid on number 1. I think they just missed it. Number 2, Sylvia Ortiz. 3, Angie O'Shea. 4, Carol McCoy. 5, Barbara Ward. 6, Angie O'Shea. 7, Megan Denby. 8, Carol McCoy. 9 and 10, Dan Knowlton. 11, Shauna Kissel. 12, Dan Knowlton. 13, Beaver. 14, Dan Knowlton. 15, Dan Knowlton. 16, Dan Knowlton. 17, Sterling Blackwell. 18, Megan Denby. 19, Barbara Ward. 20, Carol McCoy. 21, Angie. 22, Susan Kelly Hartke. 23, Angie. 24, Ellen is how that's said. 25, Dan Knowlton. 26, Angie. 27, Mary Van Donsel. 28, Mary Hughes, H-E-W Hughes. 29, Barbara Ward. 30, Paulson. 31, Beaver. 32, Angie. 33, Paulson. 34, Angie. 35, 35, 36, 37, and 38 was a bundle. Carol McCoy, 39, Beaver, 40, Mary Van Donsel, 41, Dan Moulton, 42, Beaver, 43, Dan Moulton, 44, Andy Cook. All right, and now from there, we are moving on to the wine gift basket from Emmanuel Haley. Once again, pointing at my Vanna White. Melissa Wall is our winner. Next, moving on to the painting Sheep Sunrise, we have Susan Kelly Harpy. Moving on to the Paradise Point items. The tie-dye kit goes to Gail Christensen. The coffee set with the elk and the fish, that goes to Matt Murdoch. The bird and the bear coffee set will go to Brad England. A basket of some local Arco goodies is going to Eileen O'Shea. St. Paul's Blackfoot Shared Passions baskets going to Gail Christensen. St. Francis Alta, Best of Teton Valley, right there in the back, is going to Beaver. The St. Luke's Thanksgiving goodies basket going to Carol Keller. I skipped one. And it was the dinner for 8 from the diocese, and that's going to the Paulsons. Moving on to St. David's, the David's Basket of Love. We've got Norma Weaver. The Good Shepherd Fort Hall basket goes to Barb Rudin. Holy Trinity Buell, one of like 5 baskets. They really went all out. We've got the wine basket, the very first one. Yes. That one's going to Lisa Wagner. And then we've got the Local Delights basket. That's the one with the gift cards. That one's going to Scott Ellsworth. We've got the handmade Bishop Joe's replica, which if you have not seen it, it is fantastic. Fantastic, I love it. Angela Young is our winner. Then we've got the Organic Harvest Cornucopia, also going to Angela Young. Moving on, we've got the Weekend at Grandma's, and that one's going to Norma Weaver. And then we're moving on to Grace Glenn's Ferry. That one's going to Bill McManus. Yes. And then the Pampered Chef basket. Sorry, that was for the birdhouse, that was not clear. The Pampered Chef basket is going to Kay Moore. And right next to that, St. Stephen's 2-night escape, 3-night escape in McCall is also going to Kay Moore. Then St. Mary's Apples and Applebee's is going to Janie Humphrey. Ascension Twin Falls Treats for Dogs and Owners is going to Kay McCain. Ascension Twin Falls Stay at Mary Ann's Place is going to Ellen Simonin. And then we're all the way down here to that giant, beautiful painting, and that will be going to Norma Weaver. Then the collection of geodes and polished stones, also going to Norma Weaver. The handcrafted goods basket from Redeemer, also going to Norma Weaver. Trinity Pocatello doggy bundle, Jan Nackey. And St. Luke's Weezer's Wonderful Works, going to Haiti Lafourbiere. St. Thomas Sun Valley, the tabletop composter, is going to Nancy Coombs. Holy Nativity Meridian Christmas Table Decor Set is going to Norma Weaver. We're almost there. St. Andrew's Tea Party Basket is going to Laurie Ahern. And my final item, the St. Andrew's Wood-Fired Fire Pit is going to Norma Weaver. Total, once everyone's paid their bills, we will be taking in $4,600. $2,300 will go to the diocese, and then the remaining to each of the individual parishes. I don't have those numbers. Just a housekeeping note on how to pay. Come to me. I prefer cash or check because those don't have any costs associated with them. But we do have the means to accept credit card.
And we give it straight to you?
Just bring it to me.
Maybe up to me.
All right. To the diocese.
Checks made out to the Episcopal Diocese of Idaho. Will that work? That sounds like it'll work. We have 10 minutes? 10 minutes on the clock. Excellent, thank you. All right. And there.
Yes, I'm coming. Well, we might. I have cash. I built specifically so I can throw down.
No, with all over town, they have like the decorated ones. So, yeah. So I was getting to our house and they have a thing out front there. They have
I think that's
It's nice to see. I got my next John, he does not know it. Okay.
Also, real quick, if you have not finished your questionnaire, I will still take your questionnaire, the homework you were given yesterday. Wave it in the air and I'll find my way to you.
Somebody like John.
I think that helped too. All right. I think I don't think they.
You can have, that's, yeah.
So I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's over, yeah. The last song is over.
Hold on. I'm coming out.
Yeah.
Well, you want to be.
I know.
40 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, your 40 seconds.
Quickly after we have the project, and you do my
I know 10 minutes goes fast. We're having fun. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin session 4. If you'll head back to your seats.
You all laid it out very well.
Friends, if you'll have your seats, please.
All right. Sit down. Sit down.
Okay, friends, we'll begin our next session of business. We have a point of clarification on the resolution that we passed with some of the language. And so to explain what that will look like and sound like, the convener calls upon Lauren Murdoch, our parliamentarian and chancellor.
So it was brought to our attention that the resolution, and I'm sure I'm not going to put my fingers on the language as quickly as I would like, but the resolution calls for the Finance Committee, thank you, to lower the assessment by 0.5% every year. Under the constitutions and canons of our diocese, the Finance Committee doesn't do that, diocesan council does that. So that's the point of clarification that y'all need to understand, is that the Finance Committee under our laws can't do it. Diocesan council can do it. So it's just a sort of a switch in power structures, if you will, because the way the proposal's written, the Finance Committee can't do it, diocesan council can, and you've resolved that they will, and so just wanted to make that clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. The convener will call upon Bishop Jost at this time to introduce the next report as well as diocesan staff.
I want to invite both Scott Jackson and Scott Webb, if you both will come up with Tammy, Scott Webb, and Tammy and Scott Jackson. First, Scott Jackson, if you will come forward. Scott Jackson is our Episcopal ambassador. I thought it would be nice for you all to see who he is, and so that for him to introduce himself, take a couple of minutes to share what he plans to do, what his thoughts are. Scott.
Hello, my name is Scott Jackson. Thank you, Bishop. I appreciate you very much. I wanted to take a quick moment to introduce myself and say hello. You know, a little bit about the Episcopal ambassador position is brand new, and I think it's brand new around the country. As I talk with different dioceses, nobody seems to know what an Episcopal ambassador really does. So with that said, what we've decided is that there's a lot of community engagement, but a whole lot, at this very moment especially, a fundraiser, and we're calling it development, as it's kind of morphed in different directions. And this is where I really, really, would truly count on a lot of you to help out with who I might talk with, grants that you might see out there, people that are in your community. Think hard, kind of think deep, dig deep. I left a stack of business cards on the back table where the diocesan cutout cardboard, which it was. And please take one and give it some thought. Send me an email, smoke signals, whatever works. Truly, literally, quite literally. And I know that we're really tight on time. So with that said, Scott Webb and
Scott, Webb, and Tammy, if you would please come forward. Thank you, Scott.
thank you, everybody. Truly take a card and please email me. Please.
Scott Webb and Tammy, husband-wife team, they are the new camp directors, the executive director and company together. They are willing to work and help us to get to the next phase of the Paradise Point. I'm delighted to have them here with us. They just started about 10 days ago, and so this is fresh off the press. You, yes.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much. We are very excited to be here and feel honored to be the next executive director for Paradise Point. And we are going to talk a little bit about ourselves and our vision. And there is a little video about camp we're going to play in a minute, but Megan has a really nice report that we're going to send out to all of you that you can see. And there was some great growth at camp. But for myself, I grew up in Nampa. My dad was a Nazarene pastor and the director of admissions at Northwest Nazarene University now. I went all the way through school there, and when I was in elementary school, I got to go to a church camp up on Payette Lake, so different church camp, Victory Cove. But that was definitely where the seed was planted and my pilgrimage began. And when I was there, I really learned about God's love and just planted that seed deep in my heart. So as I grew up, went to college, and I learned that we did a field trip to YMCA, and I found out that directing camps was actually something you could do as a job. And I was like, okay, that's for me. Got my recreation administration degree and started working in camps. And when I was in college, one of my research projects I did, I found out that Christians across the country, when they listed where they came to Christ, how they were exposed to that, one of the top reasons was going to a church camp. And that's where that seed was planted. And I just think that's so important. So when I went out, I wanted to share that love of Christ and be an example. I didn't feel I could be a pastor, but for me, the last 38 years has been my mission. So I spent 20 years with the YMCA working with kids and seniors and adults and families and just trying to create environments where they could grow and experience life and have some positive role models. Created a lot of opportunities for underprivileged kids to experience the beauty of the outdoors and challenge themselves to be better, and youth growing up and working at camp and getting those first years of leadership experience, which I think is so valuable. And then they take that out into the world and really set the example of how to work together in a positive environment. When Tammy and I met, and I just realized this is really neat. I came from a Nazarene home. She came from a Catholic home. And you know what happens when those two collide? You get Episcopalian. This is great. So this morning was really fabulous. So that's exciting for us. We're excited to be part of this. So then Tammy and I went to, we took a director job for an Easter Seals camp, which is kids and adults with disabilities. And we were there over 8 years and just really impacted our lives, working with all those families. And then we went to Washington, where we again, took over an Easter Seals camp and not only really turned that camp around, they hadn't had a full session for 5 years, and we really turned that around and ended up doing 13 full sessions. We did almost $500,000 worth of improvements. So, but ever since I started on this journey, I really felt that God has led my path all the way. And man alive, this opportunity for us together is really the culmination of that. And when Tammy saw the vacancy for this job and I called Renee and she started explaining it, I was just like, wow, this is us, because we've had the opportunity to do a lot of service, but not in conjunction with sharing our faith. And so that is something we're very excited to do. I was a little disappointed when I saw this resolution 1, because I honestly thought I could come here with this great idea of camp not being a burden to the parishes. But here we go, you already thought of that. So, but our goal, Tammy's expertise has really been around fundraising and community development. Together, we've done some really big fund development, and we also call them friend raisers. And we hope to bring that here to this community, raise money, treat camp like a business, make sure we balance the budget and take care of the facilities and make sure we put reserves in place so the buildings are taken care of, and hopefully we can do things that make it really self-sustaining. And my goal is for the parishes, instead of seeing camp as maybe a financial burden, but really a way to grow your membership. You know, Sarah, that was just really exciting what she was talking about. And we want to be a partner in that, because I want to get back to the days where you can send kids from your community to camp. We can plant that seed at camp and they can go back and bring their families to your churches, your parishes, and really become a part of your community. And so together we can start growing that. And so that's really our vision. We love doing fund development. So our plan is to tour all of the parishes this winter. And if you have any ideas or you need some help on little fundraisers, you know, just getting back to the old spaghetti feeds or crab feeds or something crazy out of the box, we love to do that. And we'd love for you to call on us to maybe help out with that. But we're excited to be here. It's great meeting the kids in the room and the people who generations after generations have attended camp. And we hope you all come back and join us and send kids to camp and send your teams to leadership and recommend people to work up there and volunteer. You know, it's the clergy and the nurse and all the things we need at camp are really important. So we appreciate in advance all of your support and looking forward to working with you. This year, like I said, you'll be getting a report, but there's been a lot of growth at camp in numbers. And here's a quick little video on that.
I'd like to linger a little longer. A little longer here with you.
So just remember to stay involved, get in touch with me if you have any ideas, comments, things we can do to help out. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott and Tammy. The convener calls upon Bishop Jose for the offering of the Hands and Hearts Award.
Before I announce the award, Hands and Hearts Award, I want to take a moment and to share with you the incredible work that has been done by Megan Kittredge, the camp director who is leading the camp. She and I worked together, and I think along with her staff, her commitment, I think we were able to turn a corner. And I'm so very grateful for the incredible amount of time, anxiety and talent and everything that she has put into getting us to this place at the camp. So I would like to invite all of us to stand and with an applause, thank her for even though she's not here. Thank you. Please be seated. So for some time, that it has been a privilege of the bishop to give the Hands and Hearts Award to a person that the bishop chooses based on the ministries and the commitment and the work that has been done, or an institution or a church or a ministry that has been done. So this year, I very cleverly chose a person and didn't tell him that this is going to be, awarded to him. And he was registered to be here, so I had all the hopes to surprise him. He called me yesterday and said, Bishop, I don't feel good. I am not feeling okay. And I said, it's okay. I want to tell him, get over here, but I didn't. But in his absence, though, I think he deserves our appreciation and the support and going forward continues in his ministry that he continues to do in the Diocese of Idaho and all over. So this year's 2024 Hands and Hearts Award goes to commemorate the dedicated ministry of the Reverend William S. Brown in the Episcopal Church in Idaho. Whereas Joe Snuggan, Bishop and Chief Pastor of the Episcopal Church in Idaho, holds jurisdiction in the Episcopal Church in Idaho to exercise the ministry of oversight and supervision, whereas it is the responsibility of the Diocesan Council to oversee the work of the Episcopal Church in Idaho, including matters concerning the fabric of the diocesan community, whereas the Episcopal Church in Idaho gathers annually to conduct business, legislate laws, bestow recognitions, and celebrate each other, whereas for over 46 years, the Reverend William S. Brown served with dedication and devotion to the Anglican Church of Canada and the Episcopal Church in the United States, whereas the Reverend William S. Brown served with compassion, kindness, and fervor as a canon at St. Michael's Cathedral in Boise, whereas Father Brown was caring of people experiencing poverty and those in need in helping with the affordable housing to eradicate homelessness by working towards community housing for low-income families and working with Intermountain Fair Housing Council towards equality, justice, and mercy, whereas Reverend Brown served faithfully as the director of the Paradise Point Camp, ministering to children, families, clergy, and all people from all walks of life, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, and religious preferences, whereas Father Brown served faithfully with the dedication of the good folks at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in McCall for 19 years and continued to serve St. David's Episcopal Church in Caldwell in his 46th year of ordination, and faithfully serving on the Finance Committee of the Episcopal Church in Idaho. Therefore be it resolved that the Bishop, the Diocesan Council, the 57th Convention of the Episcopal Church held at Red Lion Hotel, Pocatello, in the Eastern Deanery of the Episcopal Church of Idaho, give thanks and express our gratitude to the Reverend William S. Brown and award him with the Hands and Hearts of Jesus, dated this 9th day of November in the year of the Lord 2024. Could I have an approval by an acclamation, please? Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Bishop Jones. The next order of business is the introduction of the diocesan app. I believe I'm calling upon Sterling Blackwell to handle this.
I believe you're correct.
Excellent.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Bishop asked me yesterday if I'd be interested in talking about it, and in my naivete, I said, yeah, I don't mind talking in front of people. And then I got to bed at 10 o'clock, and I thought, I have to talk. And I'll be honest, when I was first told about the app, the first thought I had was, Lord Jesus, another app. Who else wants to have me download another app? But I will tell you, I'm actually very grateful for the ID Dio app. So much so that I took a screen recording of me using this real briefly so that you can watch it while I talk about it. Some of the most important things that I find on the app are so easy to use, and especially with our wonderful charge that we've been said one by one. This app provides us so many different abilities and tools to make that happen. First, if you don't know, Bishop Joe posts a daily announcement every day. You can jump on the app and hear a message from him that tells you what's happening in the district. I say district, well, there's the engineer. Sorry. That's happening within the diocese across the state, and it's wonderful. You'll also find other great information. All the paperwork from our convention is posted on there, including the link to watch the live streaming. We have live streamed all but one session where we had a little bit of a mistake. Everything has been recorded though, and we'll get some of those things uploaded for you to be able to watch later. But you'll see there all the different documents that you might want to use if you want to go back and find them. Beyond that, you will also find that there's a calendar that has all of the events on there that you are seeing happen across the state. The calendar is going to remind you of stand-up committees, bishops' visitations, all the things that we all wonder what's happening, when are we supposed to do that, how do I find the link to it, because we do love Zoom in this diocese. We like it in Idaho, don't we? Well, all of those links are posted on the app for you if you're ever wondering how to get there. You will also find it on there. It's my personal favorite. It's the prayer requests. I grew up LDS. I still have very, 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 very active family members. And the one thing they say to me constantly is, I put your name in the temple. And I love that. But I don't feel that I always have the opportunity to do that for my family. And having this app helps me do that for my family, where I get to celebrate, or I get to pray for, or I get to hope for my family with my faith family. And that is what I love, that is on that app for us, so that we as a diocese can pray for each other, pray for our neighbors, pray for our loved ones. You will also see things on there. You have access to the whole Bible, which is awesome, because the Bible gets heavy. It's beautiful, but it gets heavy. And we don't have small versions like the Book of Mormon. So you will also be able to find church locations, which was so helpful for me when I came over to the Eastern Deanery, the eastern side of the state. You know, I went to BYU, Idaho, so I could tell you where the LDS churches are, but where the Episcopal churches are, I need the app. And then Kevin's work has helped me when we did our training and so forth. And then, of course, there's so much more that's on there. If you look throughout the app, you will be able to find and access media. I should pull my phone out actually and look at it, because my video is going slower than I'm talking, but I'm also trying to keep time. There's my stuff. So you have media on there, which is going to take you to all the places. If you are on the leadership team like I am, this is a great way to be able to access the scriptures while you're pondering about what you want to write about. It also has our scriptures. If you're going to do Compline, if you're going to do any of those evensong services, you have access to that. It's there and done for you, and it's fabulous. And then it also allows you to connect with others and also give, which is important, as we just talked about. An opportunity to get to the diocese. So that is an introduction to the app. I hope that you guys will download it, that you will use it, and that you will see the value in the tool that Bishop has put together for us, that we can carry in our pockets. And it's, I would say, the most useful app beyond Google Maps. Thank you.
Certainly, thank you. The next report comes to us from the Committee on Courtesy Resolutions. We invite forward Albert Form for the committee's report.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. It's my wife's name. All right. The Courtesy Committee presents the following resolutions, and I'm going to hand this to you when I'm done, Carol, so you've got it. It's not my greatest handwriting, but it ain't bad. First, we send greetings from the 57th Diocesan Convention of Idaho to Bishop Brian and Ardell Thom and Bishops John and Janet Thornton. We honor those whose service on diocesan committees is ending and commend those taking up new ministries to serve the Episcopal Church in Idaho. We thank Megan Kittredge and Caitlin Martin for their dedicated service to Paradise Point. We wish to welcome Scott and Tammy Webb to our diocesan ministry at Paradise Point. We wholeheartedly thank the Eastern Deanery, especially Missioner Katie LeCorvier, and especially co-deans Bruce and Barbara Turner, whose tireless commitment to the diocese assured a welcoming and successful convention. We send our hails and farewells to retired presiding Bishop Michael Curry and joyous welcome to new presiding Bishop Sean Rowe. We thank the diocesan staff, convention volunteers, diocesan council, finance committee, standing committee, Bishop Jose and Kimby Tharakan, and especially convention secretary Carol Keller, whose emails simultaneously kept us on track and made us groan. We give thanks to our illustrious MC Sterling Blackwell, especially for the puzzles, and note some of us would like the 20-piece puzzles next convention. Additionally, Sterling, we note your microphones are small but mighty. We wish to thank Minda Cox for sharing her journey with us and reminding us we are all God's children traveling the Pilgrim's Way together. We thank the staff of the Red Lion for hosting and feeding us. We thank the city of Pocatello for welcoming us with a parade of orange cones and flashing arrows. Resolve, we ask each table, in the spirit of comedy and nonviolence, commit to a game of non-contact rock, paper, scissors to determine who will take home the combo potato brush peeler.
There's a system for that.
Oh.
Point of order, there's a system for that now?
Okay, well.
Ask Lauren Murdoch, she did it.
Bradley just had to be chancellor.
Okay, I've been outed. I apologize. If you will gently look under the tablecloth, and if you have not under the table, on top of the table, just under the tablecloth, there's a little red dot in front of somebody's chair. And the person with the red dot gets the potato peeler scrubber. There you go. See, I'm starting to see some hands. So look for a little red dot on the table. Yeah.
Convention, we will have order, please.
As our final resolution of the Courtesy Committee, be it resolved, all at this convention be applauded for their work here and go forth in our shared pilgrimage to love and serve God's creation. Thank you.
The convener believes there's one more moment of courtesy to be offered by Bruce Turner. Bruce and Mark Turner.
In follow-up to the courtesy committee's thank you, we wanted to give some special thanks. We have a gift for Carol Keller. Carol works tirelessly, starting every morning, and I think every morning, 365 days. And of course, there's an old commercial that talks about muscle making go power. So in order for Carol to start the day, this is a gift from the Eastern Deanery.
There were days that we were in contact with Carol at least 4 times. I can't even tell you how many texts and phone calls, etc. She was so patient with us.
The theme of this convention about a journey for the deans, it was definitely a journey. And so
With a lot of rocks.
Carol starts the day with muscle making go power and ends the day. Carol's already revealed to us her favorite libations. So. She did so under the seal of the confessional, so you must keep a secret.
Now you gotta share.
Because Bishop Joe's had us in hot water this entire year. And his very patient wife, Kimby. Yep. Me too.
Almond Roca.
Thank you, friends. The report of the Committee on the Convention offering, we welcome forward Linda Zarkowski, I believe.
Yes.
The committee is very pleased to announce that the Orco Community Food Bank, due to a few last-minute offerings, didn't get into this edition, so it's going to be a little bit more than this, $1,542.
Thank you very much. We've reached our announcements. I'll call on Bishop Jost to offer us a few reminders of things for our consideration.
Thank you. This has been an incredibly beautiful experience for the last, 24 hours. We have been here more than 24 hours, and I'm so very grateful for this time. I think we have accomplished a lot, made wonderful decisions, good community time, and I have to take a moment to thank Father Dennis Reed, the incredible work of leading us, keeping us on time, along with the help of Sterling. This has been a great experience, and I want to thank you, Father Dennis. I also want to thank Lauren Murdoch, our parliamentarian, chancellor and parliamentarian. She has been an incredible blessing. Anytime I have I don't know what I'm doing, and so I call her and she tells me some of the things that I need to know. And something that really helps me, because she shares things with kindness and love, and at the same time tells the truth. And so I'm so very grateful for the incredible ministry of Lauren Murdoch, not only as our chancellor, but also serving here today and yesterday as our parliamentarian. Thank you, Carol. And the next person was Carol, so that's why her name slipped. And the reason for that is also simply because last year, after the convention, we begged that if she could continue this ministry. She has been an incredible blessing, and she said yes to it, and we all rejoiced in the office because she knows everything. All I need to do is to, Carol, help me next, and she has an answer. And so I cannot tell you. So thank you, Carol. And all through this time, I do have an incredible support in all that I do. That's my wife, Kimby. I don't know where she is. We brought our little dog here, and so she's taking care of the dog. And I'll try to finish it before 3:30 and get to time. And so I do need to share with you a little story, and it'll be very quick. That we have a dog, and I'm not a dog lover, and I've told this many times to people. About a year ago, I went to Salmon, and then I was at Redeemer, and I said to the people at Salmon that I am not a dog lover. I mean, it's okay, it's not that important. And one of the ladies who listened to me said, "Do you have a picture of your dog?" And I said, "Of course, I do have the picture of my dog." And so I picked up my phone and I showed the picture of my dog. And so she rang on the glass, and we were at the reception. And everybody went quiet. she asked everyone to please listen. And she got up and she said, I need to tell you, we have a bishop who lies like a rug. So, I share this with you simply because I think Kimby has been incredible support to me, and she's taking care of probably caring for the dog. And all through, when I'm in trouble and when I struggle, when I don't know what I'm doing, she helps me. So I do want to thank her. And for a few more announcements here, that make sure you remember to take your banners, parish banners, and turn in your name tags. There is a box here. Father Dennis had mentioned this earlier. It's right in front of the podium. Please bring that. And then it is also my absolute joy and honor. I want to thank the Standing Committee for making decisions to help us all in choosing the places for our conventions going forward as well. So special thanks to the Standing Committee for choosing the next convention, 58th Diocesan Convention, to be held at the casino in Fort Hall. So people ask me the question, it is in the casino and we are Christians. Are we supposed to play? Should we not play? And I said, you know what? You are all free people, and I don't have to tell you to play or not to play. But there is one thing you all need to know. If you choose to play, I keep praying for you to win. Whatever you win, 60% comes to the diocese. Plus, next year, for fun, we also will have silent disco. Just be aware. So just get ready for a silent disco, a fascinating, wonderful convention, 58th convention in Fort Hall. With that, I want to call for the closing prayer and then invite, yes.
The consecrated elements.
Oh, yes. Yes. And we have some consecrated elements. We have some wine left over. What that means is, they are consecrated. It's the blood of Christ. You can't get drunk. But if at all you do get drunk, it is worth getting drunk with Jesus. So please help us. Please help us with the bread and wine so that we don't have to reserve it somewhere else. Please help after. Those who are not driving, I have to make sure those who are not driving, please come and help us with consuming this wine. Yes.
Just a quick note, having done a lot of work with law enforcement in Fort Hall, the casino has world-class video equipment. Everything that happens in the casino is videotaped. So if you don't want to remember it, don't do it. Otherwise, law enforcement will.
At this point, we are ready for our closing prayer.
So first of all, I'd like to take a moment and help and thank everyone who helped with worship. There's so many people who gave of their time and talents and energy and to make our worship as lovely as it was. So thank you very much. In order to be ready for this little closing, could you turn to page 8 of your worship book where there's that little blessing? Now we depart, as our ancient ancestors always departed. We leave, some of us encouraged, some of us unscathed, some of us energized, all of us weary. We leave to depart to a better place, home, where we will be welcomed with varying measures of eagerness, resentment, responsiveness, or anxiety. We pray for good departures in the way our ancestors left Egypt, that we may leave the grind of productivity and the hunger of craven ambition, that we may leave for a place of wondrous promise, visited en route by bread from heaven and water from rocks. We pray for big departures like those of our ancient parents, that we may leave where we have been and how we have been and who we have been, to follow you better as you lead before us, you who gives new place, new mode, new self. We pray each of us to travel in mercy, that we may be on our way rejoicing, arriving in wonder, love, and praise. Let us bless the Lord.
Let us sing our thanks and praise.
May God's love I don't have my paper. May God's love unite us. May God's love unite us. Amen. So let's sing it all together because you have the words. Let us bless the Lord. Let us sing our thanks and praise.
May God's light enfold us. May God's strength uphold us. May God's love unite us. Amen.
I believe Ron is leading us out. Is there a
Yes.
introduction to this?
Yes. So this particular part of the convention, as you know, this celebration was hosted and supported by the Eastern Deanery, but primarily the parish of Trinity Pocatello. So we are instituting a new custom of giving the banner of the convention to the next parish that will host the convention, which is Fort Hall. So as Ron receives this banner and inviting us to Fort Hall, I would ask if you would please let us all stand and sing the hymn, We Are Brothers.
We are sorry, let me get the right words. Sister, let me be your servant. Brother, let me walk with you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant. We are pilgrims on a journey, fellow travelers on the road. We are here to help each other walk the mile and bear the load. I will weep when you are weeping, when you laugh, I'll laugh with you. I will share your joy and sorrow till we see this journey. When we sing to God in heaven, we shall find such harmony. Born of all we've known together, of grace, love, and agony. Brother, let me be your servant. Sister, let me walk with you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant.
I just want to say thank you, and we are very excited to welcome all of you to Fort Hall next year. We're hoping to have some wonderful youth things going on, and hopefully Sterling will help with that. One thing we thought about was taking the youth down to our river bottoms to see the wild horses, and it's the forbidden area so far, so we need to get special permission. But we're excited. Our worship at Good Shepherd often has our native aspect included in, so we're hoping to see our native liturgy and our way of music, and we're hoping to have a wonderful liturgy committee in place, and we just welcome you so much. We're so excited. And I've known a lot of bishops who love gambling, by the way. I don't gamble, but more power to you. There is a powwow tonight at the casino, and a feast at 5 o'clock. Feast at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock grand entry for the powwow. Anyone is welcome and invited if you have the time. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies.
Is there a motion from the floor to adjourn the 57th?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? The ayes have it. Go in peace. I'm over it. Yeah. Go in peace.
Where are we going to put these? Right here.
Ethan?
It is good to see you. No. Thank you so much.
I think so. I think I have one in the diocesan quote-unquote office. Because I think I fill the little with water from the water bottle.
How'd you like? See you soon.
I'm very grateful. Yes, you are.
I need wafers and wine, and you need help.
Okay. Let me see if the
baggies?
in the office.
Let's see. It is right over there. Okay. It's all good. That was new. That was a new thing. Yeah. There you go. All right. I'm doing God's work, Patty.
Yeah, I've never been. Lights. Thank you. Lights open. Thank you. Well, I think good things were passed and good reports. And so you guys are hanging out, right? You guys are still here. Good.
We're going to go back tomorrow after breakfast.
Good for you. A little more relaxing of a weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really wants to see this.